Everyone, it's Tim here with Robot Recommends. Got another recommendation for you today, something to occupy yourself with as we move through this pandemic era and trying to stay indoors and shelter in place more often. Before I get to that, real quick unrecommendation. Apparently, CBS is going to be airing a Haircut Night in America special on Friday involving celebrities getting haircuts in their home. And look, I get it. We all would like to get haircuts. I'm getting very shaggy myself, and it's very annoying. I would like a haircut. But I think there's an overestimation on the part of the media as a whole as to how important haircuts are to our daily well-being. So let's just put a pause on that and not give networks any more reasons to give us content like that. Moving that off to the side, today's recommendation, I'm going to move away from video games and movies. I've been focusing mostly on that kind of stuff, but there are other kinds of media. There are other ways to pass the time. So I wanted to recommend a graphic novel that I greatly enjoy, and it is Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley. You may recognize him as the author behind the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels. If you enjoy those, if you enjoy that kind of style, that sense of humor, a lot of that translates into Seconds. So if you're a fan of that, you will almost certainly like this. But this kind of takes a step further, and it's one of those things where you can kind of see an artist continue doing what they've always done, but kind of mature a little bit as well. So to jump into Seconds, the story follows a chef named Katie. She is the executive chef at a restaurant that she started with friends, but her friends have, for the most part, moved on to other endeavors. She feels stuck. She's trying to open her own restaurant that will be owned by her exclusively. And she's dealing with a lot of the things that, a lot of young adults now are dealing with, where you feel like you're stuck, you're not living up to your potential, don't know what you're really doing. This all gets complicated when she finds in the dresser in her bedroom above Seconds, the restaurant, a mushroom with a note that instructs her that she can write down something she'd like to change, eat the mushroom, go to sleep, and that change will have occurred. So she tries it out. She, fixes small mistakes from the day prior, and the story progresses from there and escalates as she tries to use these magic mushrooms to change bigger and bigger aspects of her life. You can kind of see where it's going, but it does a very good job of escalating and taking the story itself into some more unexpected realms than the initial premise might set up. I really liked it. The graphic novel came out a number of years ago, and when I first read it, it did speak to me a lot because it does deal with things that, when you're in your 20s and early 30s, millennials kind of are dealing with a lot in terms of figuring out who you want to be as you're firmly into adulthood now, and specifically relationships with other people. And the way that we try to change, how we change things about ourselves in relation to those other people, and how the consequences of our past mistakes actually help shape who we end up being. It touches on a lot of those themes, and it never gets super heavy. There's never a whoa, that's really dark, or that's really intense. O'Malley does a really good job of keeping things really energetic and funny and kind of light for the subject matter, but there still is a very, very successful emotional core to the story. And it's something that's a little bit lighter and more fun than some of the other things that I've been recommending, so I thought it'd be a nice change of pace. It is a graphic novel, not an actual book, so even though it's 300 some pages, it is a pretty quick read. It's definitely something that you could knock out in an evening. So unlike some of the other things we've been talking about, there's not a whole lot of longevity to it, but it's got great art, fully colored. The hardback is really high quality. The pages, at least the original printing of it, really does help with the art and the coloring. And it's just something that always spoke to me and something that I would try to recommend. Scott Pilgrim gets a lot of the attention in terms of Brian Lee O'Malley, especially because they ended up making one of my absolute favorite movies based off those graphic novels. But Second, I think, is better in the sense that it's much more concise and self-enclosed, where Scott Pilgrim was very much a series and kind of really sprawled out to tackle a whole bunch of things. Seconds is much more self-enclosed, which makes for a better, evening night of reading, I think. And also being older, the nuance and the themes of Seconds, I think, speaks to me a little bit more now than Scott Pilgrim did at this point. But it is a great book. It is a great graphic novel. Anywhere that you can order books or get books, it should be available. Obviously, Amazon, you can do that. Check out and see if you can order anything from local bookstores, independent bookstores, help them out. That's what I always try to do. And we will carry on. I know there's a lot of things that we wish we could take the mushroom and change at this point, but as Seconds kind of makes clear, the mistakes and consequences and bad things that happen throughout our lives are just as important in shaping us as the good things. So it's a nice little lesson to leave ourselves with in this very, very, very trying time. So that is today's recommends. Go check that graphic novel out. Please do not check out whatever this Haircut Night in America bullshit is going to be on CBS. We don't need to watch the Osbournes die and cut their hair. So put that aside, grab Seconds, and we will see you next week with some more recommendations. As always, please keep yourself safe and healthy so that we can come out of this all right. Have a good holiday weekend, folks, and we will see you next time.